There's a hierarchy of positions you want to be in, right? Which is really important you understand. Number one, you always want to be on top. General rules. So the guard is fun, and as Coach Howder says, sometimes it can be kind of seductive because it's so fun that you'll forget that the rule is to be on top, right? So number one, you want to be on top. Number two, if you can't be on top, you want full guard. That's either closed guard or with both feet on their body, not half guard. Half guard is also half passed. And if we add strikes, half guard becomes a much more dangerous position. So a good percentage of what you guys see played in tournaments these days in half guard bottom will not work in MMA. Most of the MMA guys don't even bother with it. MMA fighters will oftentimes go from cross sides and put themselves into the other guy's half guard just so they can hit them harder, because you can do more damage from half guard top sometimes than you can from cross sides. So all that we have to be really aware of. It's not a place I want to stay. It's not a place I want you guys to stay. It's not a place I would intentionally choose to go. But if we find ourselves there, then we have to know how to get back our guard and get back on top. So that's what we're going to work on. So to begin with, I'm going to give you real simple rules. Liam's going to be on his back. He can start in any kind of half guard he wants. And if you don't know anything about half guard means you have one leg. So just make sure you're hanging on to the leg that you have. This is a basic grip that I usually teach, where you're pinching the knees together to hang onto this leg, and his foot is out this way, so it's harder for me to flatten him out. Okay, so this is a good basic grip. But he could also put a butterfly hook in. That's half guard, right? There's lots of variations of this. One way to make sure what you're doing is real solid fundamental, always with jiu-jitsu, is to add a striking, okay? So if I'm playing half guard bottom, and I'm right here, and look to punch me in the face, this is clearly not good, okay? So if he can touch my head like that, like he could in a fight, that's not only is that bad for MMA, that's bad jiu-jitsu, okay? So you always want to be maximizing your disconnection or maximizing your connection. So what I mean by that, I want to be as far away as I can here while still maintaining contact. Now go to hit me. Now he can't hit me. It's harder for him to grab my neck. It's harder for him to grab my collar. This is better jiu-jitsu, not only for fighting, but for just in general. Or I'm in real close, right? Where you never want to be is in between. So ultimately in the beginning, we're trying to deny them connection, deny them a crossface, deny them an underhook, and maintain this distance where they can't hit us and we can get our guard back. And if we mess up on that and they start to give us our weight, then we have to establish a better connection than they have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start backwards. I'm going to start tonight with him all the way in. Okay, so he's got a crossface and he's got the underhook. And I'm flattened out here, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hang on to the leg I have. So a lot of times people get lazy here. If he can pull his leg out or pass, then he's passed. That's no good, okay? If he can lift his hips up and I stay on the ground, that's no good, okay? So I'm going to cross my, triangle my legs here, and then pinch. It's important that I pinch my knees together so that if he lifts up, I go with him, okay? And that gives me space when I drop back down. But he can't just hop out of my guard. So hang on tight. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm doing. When I want to go to bridge and roll or move him, and I want to move my feet, I can't do it like this where he can just let go of my leg. So I have to transfer weight into my leg. So the first connection we're going to talk about is the connection with the leg. And how I do that is I'm going to unlock my legs, but I'm just going to lift my hips up just a little bit and put my weight into the back of Liam's calf. Pull your leg out. That's very hard for him to lift that leg up, okay? So I'm exaggerating it. I'm going to hang on to it in reality, but I'm shifting my weight into that leg. So now that leg is pinned. He's got a crossface. I don't want him to be able to move this arm. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch my shoulder down and put a little weight on this arm. Try and pull your arm out. Harder, right? As if I'm here, pull your arm out. Easy for him to put it out in post. Here, pull it out. Difficult, okay? So I'm pinching it together. Now, connection with my arm. If I go to bridge here, so much gets lost in the slack that's between my arm and Liam's head. So I extend my arm and then I extend my shoulder. Okay, so I'm doing an internal rotation with my hand, but most importantly, give me good weight. I'm taking out all the slack first. So I'm holding this in place. So now all the slack's taken out here. I'm heavy on his leg, I'm heavy on his arm. If this is wide, I'll just pull guard. So he's gonna have the knee in tight so I don't pull guard. And now I'm just gonna brace here with my elbow. And now because I have good connection on the leg, good connection on the neck, connection here, I barely have to bridge. And I'm gonna turn him over, okay? So much of that bridge, just like so much of everything we do, gets lost if you don't do the connection first. The connection is super important, right? If he's laying down, if I pin his shoulder and he doesn't take the time to take the slack out between his shoulder and my hand, which you wouldn't think there is slack because I'm pressing, but there is. When he goes to do the power shrimp, I'm gonna probably keep that really stapled to the mat. But if he presses his shoulder into my hand first, he maximizes that connection. As he power shrimps, all that from the ground goes into me. So it becomes that much more powerful, right? That's super important. So we can slow down on pretty much any technique in jiu-jitsu and make it better, make it more efficient by maximizing those connections, which are really where you're connected to the ground and his body. Okay, so he's here. So we're starting out bad. I gave away the underhook. I don't want to give away any of these things, by the way. We're going to spend the rest of the class trying not to let the guy get here, right? But we're starting from worst case scenario. So all I've got left is his leg. Making the leg heavy, pinning the arm, maximizing my connection here, okay? Now, the only way he's going to stay on top when I've got good, all three connections here good, is he's going to have to spread this leg out like that. And that's where we're just going to pull guard. That's what we want to do anyway, right? So if he leaves that hole there real wide, now I can't roll him, but that doesn't matter. I'm just going to pull guard, okay? He's going to feel that. Now he stops me from pulling guard, keeps his bring your knee in. Now I can't pull guard. Now I've got the roll. He goes to block the roll, and now I can pull guard. And that's why I like, if your arms are long enough, I like to use my elbow to hold that in place and connect. If they're further down and you're shorter or they're much taller, use your hand, but you want to hold it in place until your shin and your arm connect. It's one unit, right? And take the time to go all the way to close guard, because going to close guard helps you work those hip movements, right? Finish shrimping underneath them and square up underneath them, which is important. So now, maximize those three connections, go to bridge. The only way they're going to stay on top is by spreading out their base. Pull guard. Okay, go ahead.